Hi, somebody came to me the other day and asked what I thought was a really good question, and that's very common when you're dealing with your elderly parents. What do I do when my mom keeps throwing messages of guilt at me? I'm angry, I'm trying to be loving, I'm trying to be a good daughter, but she keeps doing these little guilty messages at me, and I don't know how best to handle that. So, the first thing you want to do is determine, is it real guilt or false guilt that you're feeling? The feelings are legitimate, they're valid, it's real pain, but the source can be totally different. It might be because you've done something inadvertently, something, unkind, and you need to fix it, you need to make amends. Or more likely and very common is it's a sense of false guilt. And it's about as real as a paid TikTok follower. You don't deserve it, you don't need to own it, but it's coming at you, and what do you do with that source that's causing you pain? And that's your mom or dad. And that's probably a tool they've been using for years, and you're vulnerable to it because you're tired and you're weak, and um, you're nearing the end of the road with them. And so it's very easy for them to feel like their control is ebbing away, and they're going to rely on these tools that they've used effectively through your whole life to try to control and feel like they have still some power in the relationship. So here's my little visual for you. This is you being your adult self when you're strong and in control and handling your emotions well. But when mom says, don't you think you could come over a little bit more often? Feels like maybe you've got better priorities or more things that are important to me. That's fine, whatever. Just that voice. Boom, that's you. And it's false guilt, but it feels real and it hurts. So you want to stay strong. First, what you want to do is identify, is it real guilt? Did I do something wrong? Did I accuse the paid caregiver of maybe neglecting my mom's care? And then I find out later that that wasn't actually true, that she actually has been doing her job well. Do I need to go back and apologize, report to her supervisor that she's done a good job, and correct that situation? Or if it's false guilt, your mom is saying, oh, well, no wonder you got sick. You never used to take care of yourself when you were younger either. So, of course, you're not going to be able to come over this week. And, that makes you angry because you didn't do anything wrong. You went to a baseball game. It started raining. You got cold and you got to chill. So um, you didn't do anything wrong there. So you need to take that false guilt and determine what to do with that. So there's a few things that you can do. First, determine, is it real guilt? Is it false guilt? If it's false guilt, just make sure that, you're clear with that in your mind. What You could even make a list. What are all the things that I'm doing for my mom or dad? Maybe what are some things that I could or should be doing or want to consider doing? Compare the two lists. Are the ones that you are not doing actually realistic? Is that something that you want to do or even can do or need to do? So if there's a disparity that you can correct, they are fine. Otherwise, maybe look at your reasons. Why does that bother you so much? Maybe you're feeling a sense of impending loss or abandonment because you know that your mom or dad won't be around that much longer, and it frightens you inside. Maybe you're trying to make amends for some indiscretions of your youth, and you're trying to assuage that lingering historical false guilt by overdoing it, overcompensating, pushing yourself, feeling like I'm not doing enough. I'm not a good daughter. There can be a lot of reasons for those kinds of feelings. But if you've determined that it's false guilt and there's really no reason for you to feel guilty, but you're angry, try to see if you can have a conversation with your parent and find out, you know, why are they doing this? Maybe you can help them talk about how they really feel. Maybe they're afraid. They're seeing their friends are dying. And they don't have their health or their independence, their freedom that they used to have, and they need to talk about some of those things rather than using those little digs and this accusations and that false guilt to try to control a situation that's sadly not controllable anymore because it's just age. So if you can't have that kind of a conversation with your parent and you're still too mad, then The best thing you can do is just be prepared with some, some responses when they pull their little false guilt messages at you. And one of them might be something like, you know, that I know you love me and I love you too, but those kind of negative comments push me away, Mom, and I don't like to hear them anymore. Maybe it's something like, you always tell me to, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That wasn't very nice, and it wasn't true. And don't accept it. You don't have to be a target for that kind of guilt messaging. The last thing you could say certainly is, Mom, I'm going to have to leave now. Those weren't kind comments, and I'm going to go away. I'll check in with you next week. And then you just leave. And that's okay too. You want to be loving, and you want to be careful to remain healthy in your relationship with your parent, but also with yourself. It's hard. In this season, guilt seems to just come in an extra helping. When there's been a pattern of that on and off through your whole life, during the season when everything's falling apart, you're hands-on the situation a lot more, and their lives are crumbling, and they're losing their sense of control. Guilt can appear a lot more than it used to. It can bug you a lot more than it used to. The main thing that you want to do is just pray and ask God to help you set appropriate boundaries, to love your parent, and count on the grace to help carry you through.